each and every one of us, regardless of how confident, how successful, how put together we may appear on the outside, has a truth we're concealing, a tale we're not sharing. Perhaps it's that inner voice that whispers, I'm not happy, or I'm not where I thought I'd be, or even I don't know who I've become. But rather than confronting it, we conceal it. We put on the facade. We pretend to be okay. We say to the world that we're fine. And we keep pushing, hoping somehow if we're busy enough, if we keep acting, we won't have to confront what's actually happening inside. But let's face it, deep down, you know that reality is still there. You sense it when you slow down. You hear it in those still hours at night when the sounds hush and you're alone with your thoughts. That's when it is quiet and says, there's more. You were made for more. But you suppress it because it makes you uncomfortable. Because if you let that truth be known, it could ask something of you, change, courage, responsibility, and that terrifies you. We've been conditioned to keep our masks on. We share the highlight reel. We lead others down the path they want to hear. Even we lie to ourselves because the truth gets ugly. It could mean you have to admit that the relationship is not working, the job you took isn't making you happy, that the course you're pursuing isn't connecting with the real you anymore. It may mean to be able to say, I don't have it all figured out. And in a society that is fixated on outward show and perfection, that kind of honesty is perceived as weakness. But the truth, it's the strongest thing you can do, because the truth, your truth, is the beginning point of change. You can't transform what you won't engage with. You can't repair what you won't acknowledge. You can't evolve if you're being someone else. When you finally stop running from that truth, when you stop anesthetizing it, distracting yourself from it, or dressing it up to make it look better than it feels, that's when the real power appears. Other individuals spend decades hiding from themselves. They construct lives built upon a personality that no longer holds, working careers that distress them, carrying relationships that sap them, living in habits that keep them contained. Why? Because confronting the truth would disrupt their comfort. And what they fail to understand is that comfort is the trap. It is the quiet assassin of dreams. Truth may hurt for an instant, but it releases you for eternity. I want to tell you something. The second you make the choice to be brutally honest with yourself, everything shifts. Your energy shifts. Your relationships shift. The people around you may not get it at first, but that's okay because finally you're living in alignment with who you actually are. And alignment builds momentum. It builds power. So ask yourself today, what's the truth I've been hiding? Perhaps it's that you've been settling. Perhaps it's that you've been too scared to begin again. Perhaps it's that on some deep level, you know you can do more, but you've been pretending you're okay where you are. Whatever it is, don't judge it. Just acknowledge it. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. When you own your truth, you regain your power. You no longer live reactively, you begin to live intentionally. You no longer perform for the world, you begin to create from your soul. That's when you become alive again. That's when passion is rekindled, when clarity is restored, when that sense of purpose begins to beat within you again. So today, make a choice. No more pretending, no more masks, no more hiding. Be authentic with yourself above all. Let that authenticity breathe, because the truth may make you uncomfortable, but it will also make you invincible. That's where transformation takes place, not when everything is perfect, not when the time is right. When you decide finally to stop deceiving yourself and to live your truth, that's where freedom becomes real. That's when life gets bigger again. And that's when you regain the pen and begin writing your story, this time as you really are. You know what's amazing? Most people believe that the greatest enemy they have is fear or failure or rejection, but it's not. Growth's greatest enemy is comfort. Comfort feels good, feels safe, feels familiar. It reminds you, relax, you've got enough, or don't push too hard, you might fail. It says softly, stay where you are, it's easier here, and for a little while that comfort is peace, but eventually it becomes a trap, an invisible, silent cage that keeps you from being the person you are capable of being, because here's the reality, nothing amazing has ever been created out of the comfort zone. Each moment of change, every breakthrough, every reinvention of a life has begun with someone stepping into the unknown, into discomfort. Growth is not made from what you already know. It comes from pushing yourself, from leaning into what you don't know, from feeling that resistance and moving ahead anyway. But the majority of individuals live their lives pursuing convenience in hopes of change. They desire a better existence, greater fulfillment, truer love, higher achievement, but without the discomfort that accompanies it. They desire the outcome, not the process. They desire to ascend to the top of the mountain, but they don't desire to sweat, to stumble, to strain in the process. But that is the paradox of growth. You can't become better and remain comfortable simultaneously. It won't happen. The people who truly change their lives are the ones who make peace with discomfort. They stop running from the pain of growth and start embracing it as part of the process. Because pain isn't punishment, it's feedback. It's the signal that you're expanding beyond your limits, you're stretching into new territory. It's life saying, you're ready for more. Consider it the gym hurts before it feels good. First day of a new company feels disorienting before it feels powerful. The first conversation in which you speak your truth about how you truly feel. It's unpleasant before it's freeing. Every single breakthrough in your life has been preceded by some kind of discomfort. But we forget that. We attempt to bypass the struggle, unaware that the struggle is the change. See, your brain is made to keep you safe, not to make you whole. It craves security, not development. It's hardwired for existence, not achievement. When you attempt to move into something new, whether it's a dream, a goal, or a relationship, your mind begins sending out all these signals. Don't do that. It's dangerous. You will fail. What will others think? That's only your brain trying to suck you back into what you know. But here's the thing, familiar isn't always better. Familiar can be poisonous. Familiar can be tiny. Familiar can be the same thing that's preventing you from reaching your potential. You need to retrain your mind to view discomfort as growth, not threat. To reframe that sense of uncertainty and say, this is what growth feels like. Because when you do that, when you're able to dance with discomfort rather than run from it, you become unstoppable. Reflect on your own life for a moment. Each and every time you leaped, each and every time you pushed yourself through something difficult, each and every time you stretched beyond what you believed you could do, weren't those the experiences that made you grow the most? That's no coincidence. Progress is forged in the fire of unease. If you're feeling stuck at the moment, it's not that you can't grow, it's that you've become too comfortable. You've created a life about not hurting instead of about pursuing purpose. And the minute you flip that, when you realize that discomfort is the price of admission to an authentic life, everything shifts. That's today's invitation. Move out of the comfort zone. Lean into the edge. Make the call. Have the conversation. Start the project. Begin before you're ready, because you'll never be fully ready anyway. The courage only appears after you do something. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the door. It's the indicator that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're becoming more. Rather than asking, how do I make this easier? Begin asking, how do I make this meaningful? Because when you exchange comfort for growth, you don't merely change your situation, you change yourself, and that's where transformation starts. That's when you cease to exist and begin to live. You are not broken. Let that sink in for a moment, because for far too long, you've been telling yourself that something is wrong with you, that you're not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not confident enough, not worthy enough. You've been walking around with this hidden narrative that tells you that you're somehow less than, that perhaps other individuals possess the secret, but you don't. But the truth is this. You're not broken. You're simply untrained. Consider it, no one gave you a guide on how to dominate your emotions, construct impenetrable confidence, or design an extraordinary life. You didn't come into this world knowing how to lead, how to love yourself, or how to fail. These aren't defects. They're just skills you haven't mastered yet. And that change in mindset flips everything, because when you view yourself as broken, you give up. You settle for mediocrity. You say, that's just who I am. But when you understand you're just untrained, all of a sudden there's power again, because training can change everything. We live in a world that educates us in algebra and sentence structure, but never educates us on how to dominate our mindset. We learn how to obey, not how to guide ourselves. Thus we mature responding rather than producing, subsisting rather than prospering, just existing rather than living. And then we're wondering why we're stuck in these same old patterns, why success is just out of reach. It's not that you're broken. It's that you've been running old programming. You've been running an old operating system that's keeping you stuck at the same level of life that you've grown out of. The better news, you can rewire it. You can condition your mind the same way that you condition your body. You can condition new beliefs, new habits, new standards. And when you do, all of it shifts. Because success is never based on luck. It's based on patterns. And the wonderful thing about patterns is that they can be replaced. Perhaps you've been conditioned to feel that failure equates to you're not good enough. or that it's weakness to ask for help, or that your aspirations are impossible. That is not your truth. That is training. Perhaps your surroundings taught you lack or fear or uncertainty. Perhaps the world dealt you curveballs that caused you to doubt yourself. But those moments do not make you who you are. They refine you. They're merely part of your training. And if you can take away from them rather than getting your identity with them, you'll begin to notice that every struggle, every letdown, every failure has been getting you ready for next. When you begin to view life through that lens, that it's all training, failure is no longer something to fear, but something to grasp. Every error is feedback. Every barrier is a chance. Every no is redirection. And when you live that way, you cease waiting for permission and begin to make transformation happen. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to have it all lined up. You just need to exercise the muscle of progress, exercise the muscle of discipline, exercise the muscle of courage. Because confidence doesn't emerge from yelling affirmations in front of the mirror, it emerges from promising yourself something and following through on it, from consistently doing the difficult thing until it gets inside of you. So if you've been wondering whether there's something wrong with you, quit asking, "What's wrong with me?" And begin asking, "What do I need to train?" Perhaps it's your concentration. Perhaps it's your emotional strength. Perhaps it's your toughness. Whatever it is, it's yours to control. And when you begin thinking in terms of training rather than blaming, you transition from feeling helpless to powerful. Recall the same flame that hurts you can temper you. The same pressure that breaks others can make diamonds of others. The key isn't luck, it's attitude, it's practice. And the instant you choose to invest in your own development, your life starts to open up in ways you never imagined. You're not broken, you're evolving. You're growing, changing, getting stronger, becoming the person you've always been meant to be. The training is never done, but neither is the metamorphosis. Fear, the mere word sends a shiver down our spines, doesn't it? That knot in your stomach, that silent pause before you dive in, make the call, begin the thing you've been imagining. Most individuals view fear as the enemy, the warning to slow down, to pull back, to err on the side of caution. But here's the thing, fear is not your enemy. Fear is directionless energy. It's raw power and waiting to be directed. See, excitement and fear are the same physiological cocktail. Consider this, your heart is pounding, palms are sweating, body is energized. The only variance is the name your mind assigns. When you name it fear, you immobilize. When you name it excitement, you act. The feeling is identical. Meaning is what alters reality. Meaning is always something you control. We've been taught that fear equals stop, that it's a warning signal to go back. But the truth is, fear is a compass. It points straight to the place of expansion. If something doesn't frighten you at least a little bit, it's likely not expanding you. Fear does not mean you're unprepared. It means you're about to move into something greater than where you've been. The issue is most live their lives steering clear of that sensation, construct habits, settings, even whole personas that are calculated to shield them from fear. But if you live steering clear of fear, you live in avoidance of growth, love, creativity, and meaning. Because all those things are on the other side of uncertainty, you can't have an amazing life if you only do what you feel safe doing. Here's what's crazy. The folks you look up to, the ones who've created amazing companies, made art that inspires or shifted the world, they didn't destroy fear. They utilized it. They felt that energy and thought, okay, proceed. They channeled it into concentration, into obsession, into momentum. They didn't wait for fear to vanish. They learned to dance with it. Let me tell you something. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the choice that something else is more important. When you choose your dream, your purpose, your truth is greater than your fear, you no longer negotiate with it. You no longer wait for the perfect time or right confidence. You move while you're afraid, and that's what neuro wires your brain. With each action you take despite fear, you're telling your nervous system it's okay to expand. You're telling yourself you can do more than you knew. Fear is also true. It shows you exactly where your edge is. If you're afraid to speak out, that's the universe telling you it's time to find your voice. If you're afraid to begin, that's life pushing you to have faith in yourself. If you're afraid to release, that's your soul telling you it's time for something new. Fear is not out to kill you. It's out to guide you. You must hear differently. Imagine for a moment that you could reinterpret fear as fuel. Whenever it arises, rather than thinking, what if I fail? You're thinking, what if this is exactly what I need to grow? That slight redirect makes fear no longer a wall, but a doorway. Because fear is not in your way, It is the way. The larger the dream, the larger the fear. That's how you know you're going in the right direction. So don't battle your fear. Don't wish it away. Begin to collaborate with it. When you see it surface, say, "Thank you. You're pointing me towards the next step." Then do one tiny thing. Because the second you move even an inch, the fear begins to lose its grip. Action dispels anxiety. Clarity is gained through movement, not meditation. The thing is, fear is never going away. It's going to change with you. As you level up, new things to fear will appear. That's a great indicator that you're still growing. The point isn't to not have fear, it's to live beyond it. To take that energy and use it as fuel for your purpose, your passion, your mission. So the next time fear comes knocking, don't hide behind the door. Open the door, stare it in the face, and tell it, "I see you, and we're going anyway." Because when you no longer let fear control you and instead let it direct you, you become unstoppable. That's when fear is no longer your prison but turns into your power. The truth does set us free, it really does. But here's the paradox: most people spend their whole lives fleeing from it. We deceive ourselves in little ways every day. "I'm fine. It's not that bad. I'll take care of it later." We hide behind stories that make us feel safe but keep us trapped. And the longer we hide from the truth, the more life weighs us down. It's like carrying invisible weights. The longer you avoid what's real, the more it drains your energy, your joy, your power. You can't construct an amazing life upon a premise of half-truths. You can't build freedom when you're still pretending. Because the truth, authentic, unfiltered truth, is what frees you. Not the truth about your situation, mind you, but the truth about you. Who you are, what you desire, what you've been settling for, what you've been hiding from. It's not always easy to confront, but it's always freeing. The minute you quit lying to yourself, life begins to open up. When you stare at yourself in the mirror and you say, "I'm not where I want to be, and that's on me," that is not defeat. That is power. Because now you're no longer the victim of your situation, you're the creator. You've taken ownership, and ownership is where change starts. So many of us spend our lives editing our truth to make it more palatable to others. We shrink, we dim our light or dilute our dreams because we don't want to upset the boat. But you can't have a life that's both real and approved of by all. You have to make a choice. Freedom always comes at a cost, even when it hurts, even when it makes you lose something. Because what it returns is you. Truth pierces through misunderstanding. When you begin to be radically honest with yourself, you no longer waste time pursuing things that do not matter. You no longer live to be approved of. You no longer say yes when your soul says no. You begin to match your actions with your values, and that is when life becomes light again. That is when things flow. Because integrity produces clarity, and clarity produces momentum. Now, I know truth hurts. Sometimes it hurts like hell. It may mean you acknowledge a relationship isn't good for you. You've been putting off your dream, that you've been blaming the past for your future. But pain from truth is clean pain. It heals. Pain from denial is dirty pain. It festers. One propels you forward, the other keeps you stagnant. So if you're going to hurt either way, pick the kind of pain that liberates you. When you confront the truth, you regain your power, because truth doesn't just uncover, freeze. It frees you from guilt, from shame, from the vicious cycle of pretending. It reconnects you to something truer, to your authenticity, to your courage, to your sense of purpose. And when you're grounded in truth, no one can manipulate you, no situation can shake you, no challenge can define you, because you're standing on solid ground, the ground of reality, not illusion. The most powerful people on this planet aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who have the courage to be real. They stare fear in the eye and declare, "This is me. This is where I stand, and I'm ready to grow." That kind of genuineness doesn't revolutionize just your life. It revolutionizes the lives of those around you. It emboldens others to be real as well. And that ripples of truth, that's how we build connection, trust, transformation. So here's the challenge. What truth have you been ducking? What have you been too afraid to confess? To yourself, someone else, to the world, whatever it is, now is the time to face it. Write it down, say it out loud, breathe it in. Because when you voice your truth, even if your voice trembles, begin to crumble, you quit living in the shadows and begin living in the light. The truth may shake you for an instant, but it will liberate you for an eternity. Freedom isn't found in control, in pretending, or in perfection. Freedom is found in truth and standing tall in who you truly are and declaring, "This is me." No filters, no masks, no apologies. And when you do that, when you live from that space of radical honesty, you open the kind of freedom nobody can ever take away from you. Because truth is power, truth is clarity, truth is freedom. And it all starts the instant you choose to leave the running behind and be who you really are. Each second of your life is forged by the choices that you make or refuse to make. Folks believe destiny is this magical thing that picks them, but destiny isn't in the stars. Destiny is in your decisions. One choice, one honest, committed, no returning back choice can alter everything. And yet most people don't decide, they dabble. They say they want to change, but they leave the back door open. They say, I'll try, instead of I must. And that one word makes all the difference between a wish and a transformation. The truth is, every great life was built on a moment of decision, a line in the sand moment, a point where someone said, enough, I'm finished living this way, I'm transforming now. That choice perhaps didn't make sense to anyone else. Perhaps it didn't look convenient or comfortable, but it was decisive, and that decisiveness generated power. Because when you actually make a decision, your brain ceases negotiating. It ceases expending energy on should I or shouldn't I, and begins searching for ways to make it work. See, procrastination sucks more energy out of you than action ever will. Delay in that place of maybe is what makes people stagnant. They believe they're waiting for clarity, but clarity only comes after the decision, not before. The minute you commit, the universe shifts to serve that commitment. People show up, resources come into play, opportunities that never existed before begin to appear. It's not magic, it's concentration. When you decide, your mind becomes a magnet for everything aligned with that outcome. But most people are afraid to decide because they're afraid to lose. They think, what if I choose wrong? Or what if it doesn't work out? But not deciding is a decision. It's a decision to stay the same. And that choice costs far more than failure ever will. Teaches. Indecision numbs. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. When you look at the people who have achieved something extraordinary, built companies, healed relationships, transformed their health, broken cycles, they all have one thing in common. They made a decision and never looked back. They burned the boats. They removed plan B. Because when you have a way out, your brain never gives 100% to the way forward. Commitment isn't convenient, it's uncomfortable. But that discomfort is what builds your destiny. Your destiny is not your circumstances, it's your choices. You can't control the weather, the economy, or the folks around you, but you do have control of what you choose to concentrate on, what you choose to believe, and what you choose to do next. Those three choices are what form the direction of your life every day, what to concentrate on, what significance to assign to it, and what to do about it. Change any one of those and your destiny changes with it. So right now, think about the area of your life that's been calling for a decision. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's your health, maybe it's your relationship, your purpose, your identity. You've been waiting for a sign. Well, here it is. Decide. Decide that you're done living below your potential. Decide that you're going to follow through no matter how hard it gets. Decide that you're all in, because the moment you decide, you shift from powerless to powerful. Decision is the gateway to change. And the fact is, you don't need to change your life in years. You need a moment, one clear, strong moment when you draw that line and declare, I'm finished settling. I'm stepping into who I'm supposed to be. That's how destinies are made. You don't require more time. You don't require more info. You simply require that you make a decision to begin, a decision to be devoted, a decision to see through. Because when you make that type of decision, the type that is made from your inner being, not your fear, life warps to meet you. And that's when everything starts changing. Because your fate isn't standing by for some idealized future. It's standing by for a choice you make today. Action conquers excuses every time. You can possess all the wisdom, all the strategy, all the intentions in the universe, but none of that matters until you act. Because the truth is, space between where you are and where you want to be isn't filled with wishing, talking, or planning. It's filled with doing. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they don't do what they know. They wait for the perfect moment when they have more time, more confidence, more clarity, more money, more support. But that moment never arrives. Perfection is actually procrastination in disguise as preparation. The individuals who are responsible for making real change are not the ones who wait until they're prepared. They're the ones who begin before they're prepared. You see, action generates momentum, And momentum creates confidence. You can't intellectually reason your way into faith. You act yourself into it. Every time you move forward, even when it's just an inch, you're telling your brain something: I'm doing this, I'm capable, I'm moving forward. That's how you get rewired for success. Not by standing on the sidelines analyzing your fears, but by getting in the arena and doing the work despite them. Excuses are a temptation. They're convenient. They allow you to remain comfortable while appearing to still be attempting. It's not the right time. I don't have the resources. I'm waiting for a sign. But the truth is, there is no right time. The only right time is the present moment, because each day that you wait, you consolidate the habit of procrastination. Each time that you justify not taking action, you consolidate your comfort zone and dissipate your will. Distinction between successful individuals and the rest is not intelligence, it's action. Successful individuals are not fearless, they merely don't allow fear to hinder them from taking action. They sense the doubt, the uncertainty, the imposter syndrome, and they move forward anyway. They have learned that doing something about your fears cures them, but doing nothing enables them. The more you delay, the larger your fear becomes. But the instant you move even a tad, the fear begins to dissipate. You don't require monumental action in a single burst. You only need steady action. Small steps taken every day build into monumental change. One call, one exercise, one tough conversation, one tweet, one new habit, one real decision. It's not about doing it all, it's about doing something. Because motion breeds emotion. The second you take action, your mindset shifts, your energy shifts, your vision enlarges. Come on, life doesn't pay attention to intentions, it pays attention to execution. The world doesn't care about your dreams, it cares about your effort. You can read all the books, go to all the seminars, visualize all the goals, but you will get nowhere until you make that first step, and that first step doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be real. Because imperfect action will always beat perfect inaction. When you act, you create a track record with yourself. You begin to trust yourself once more. You stop telling yourself, someday I'll change, and you begin demonstrating, I'm changing now. That's the way confidence is constructed, not through affirmations or positive thinking, but through evidence. You don't trust in yourself because someone says so. You trust in yourself because you've been showing up for yourself over and over. So if you've been holding out for perfect weather, stop. If you've been telling yourself, I'll get started when, stop. Life honors the bold, not the timid. You don't require a map to begin the journey. You just need to be brave enough to take the first step and have faith that the road will rise to meet you. Action doesn't just alter your outcome, it alters you. It changes your identity. With each action you take, you inch one step closer to being the person you've always known you can be. The one who doesn't just discuss change, but makes it happen. The one who doesn't just fantasize about a better life, but lives it. So today, quit overthinking, quit waiting for approval, quit role-playing your potential and begin to live it. Because life doesn't react to what you mean, it reacts to what you do. And once you begin to move, no matter how little, even a single step forward can spark a fire that reorders everything. Action trumps excuses, always has, always will. Your standards define you, not your desires, not your intentions, not what you tell yourself you want, your standards. Because ultimately, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you will accept. Every outcome in your life today is a reflection of what you've determined is okay in your health, in your relationships, in your finances, in your mindset. If you wish to transform your life, you must elevate your standards. Now, what frequently gets jumbled up with goals is standards. A goal is something you desire. A standard is something you won't live without. There's a huge difference between I'd like to lose some weight and I don't miss workouts, between I'd like to earn more money and I will never again tolerate financial hardship as the norm. Standards define your identity, but goals motivate you. They inform the world, and most importantly, yourself, who you are and what you believe. We all have standards, whether we've created them or not. Some individuals have high standards for success, low standards for happiness. Others have high standards for serving others, but low standards for self-respect. And here's the reality. Your life will always head in the direction of your lowest standard. You can speak all day long about desiring more, yet if you continue to accept less, nothing will be different. Consider this: the guy who's in incredible shape doesn't feel like running to the gym each day. He just has a standard: I take care of my body. The business owner who continues to expand their business doesn't hope that things will work out. They have a standard: I make it happen. The individual who constructs remarkable relationships doesn't accept drama or disrespect. Their expectation is honesty, growth, and love. Expectations are not about being perfect, they're about being consistent. The catch is most people lower their expectations to be in alignment with their environment rather than raising their environment to align with their expectations. They become accustomed to what is around them. If everyone around them complains, they begin complaining. If everyone settles, they begin settling. Your surroundings do not determine you, your expectations do. When you elevate them, something breaks within you. You no longer negotiate with second rate. You no longer make excuses for those people who suck the life out of you. You no longer tolerate actions from others and from yourself that weigh you down. The fact is, you're constantly training the world how to treat you through what you tolerate, what you allow, and what you reinforce. Each time you say yes when you mean no, each time you remain quiet when you need to speak, each time you accept less than you deserve, you're showing them what your standard is. But when you raise it, you shift that dynamic in an instant. Humans will either rise with you or fall away. Either way, you win. Widening your standards isn't necessarily about enriching, it's about expanding. It's about setting the bar for yourself higher. Even if no one is looking, it's flossing for your soul, those daily habits that enrich you. This is who I am now. When you repeatedly meet your own standards, you gain self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of all confidence. Now, increasing your standards isn't always easy. It means saying no when it's not convenient. It means being accountable when it would be simpler to make excuses. It means having people in your life who push you rather than pamper you. But here's the catch. Comfort never built greatness. And if you want to build a life that excites you, your standards must exceed your emotions. So today, ask yourself, what have I been tolerating? What have I accepted as normal that's actually keeping me small? Perhaps it's your energy. Perhaps it's your pay. Perhaps it's the way you speak to yourself when nobody's listening. You already know the answer. It's that little twinge of unease when you think about it. That's your higher self calling you up. Make a choice today to set the line. To say, this is my new standard, and I will not fall below it again. Because the moment you do, your identity changes, your routines change, your outcomes change, life levels up to the standard you place on it. Set higher standards, and you set higher in life, because success ultimately isn't about what you acquire, it's about who you become. And who you become is determined minute by minute by the principles you decide to live by. Your surroundings are more powerful than your will. Take it in. Because no matter how disciplined, ambitious, or motivated you believe yourself to be, if you remain in the wrong environment long enough, one that depletes you, distracts you, or dampens your potential, it will eventually drag you down. Whether it's when we prefer to think success is a matter of individual fortitude, of grit and self-discipline. And I suppose those are important things. Even the toughest mind will break down in a poisonous atmosphere, whereas an average individual will flourish in a setting that feeds their ambition. Your surroundings either reinforce your best behaviors or feed your worst ones. It's molding you every day, not only through what's around you, but through what you let in, the people, the vibe, the habits, the conversations, the media, the thoughts. Here's the reality check. You will rise or fall to the standard of the environment you expose yourself to. Hang out long enough with complaint-prone people, and you'll begin to complain. Be around people who dream small, and you'll begin to shrink your own vision. But be around people who are hungry, who push, who grow. Your whole level for what's normal shifts. What you used to think was impossible becomes normal. That's the power of proximity. Proximity is power. You can't help but soak up the energy from the people around you. If you want to become healthy, spend time with those who approach health as a priority. If you want to accumulate wealth, be around others who believe abundance, not lack. If you want to grow spiritually, surround yourself with those who live in alignment, not avoidance. You don't have to do anything. You'll begin to grow simply from exposure. Now, here's the thing. We attempt to transform our lives without leaving behind the same environment that bred the old us. We want change while being around triggers that remind us of our past. That is like planting a seed in concrete and expecting it to grow. There are times when it's not that you can't do it, it's that the environment that you're in is not where you can actually grow. You're trying to bloom in a place built for survival. You've got to curate your environment intentionally. That doesn't just mean cutting people out. It means creating spaces that support who you're becoming. Maybe that means cleaning your home so it reflects clarity instead of chaos. Maybe it means setting up systems that make progress automatic instead of dependent on motivation. Maybe it means limiting time with people who drain you and increasing time with those who challenge and elevate you. And let's discuss the inner environment as well, your mental space, the things you feed yourself, the content you watch, the words you use. That's your daily atmosphere. If you put negativity, comparison, and scarcity in there, you're poisoning your own soil. If you put gratitude, focus, and vision in there, you build the mental environment for growth. You can't sow seeds of excellence into a mind cluttered with weeds and hope to reap abundance. The reality is, willpower is a flicker of energy. Environment is the oxygen that sustains it. You can white knuckle discipline for a few days, but if your environment is always drawing you back to what you've known before, your fuel will eventually be depleted. Conversely, when your surroundings align in your favor, you don't require as much willpower. Growing becomes intuitive. You no longer have to struggle for momentum. It begins to carry. So look around. Who are you hanging out with? What are you eating? What environments are you surrounding yourself with every day? Because whether you know it or not, those things are molding you. They're either drawing you towards your future or nailing you to your past. If you wish to transform your life, begin by transforming your surroundings. Create one that requires the best of you, where sloth is not at home, where criticalness is not welcome, where average is not easy. Surround yourself with individuals who recognize your brilliance, even when you've lost sight of it. Individuals who won't settle for less from you. Individuals who inspire you to up-level, not by telling you what to do, but by exemplifying what can be done. Because when your context is aligned with your vision, progress is no longer a struggle but a side effect. You start growing without trying to, you grow organically, and that's when transformation takes hold, not as a phase, but as a lifestyle. Your context designs your destiny. Design it with purpose, because when you do, you won't need to push so hard to change. You'll be drawn toward your best self each and every day. The strength of FevTech action, this is where everything gets done. You can have the vision, the clarity, the drive, the mindset, the standards, the environment, but none of it works until you move. Until you do. Until you turn the thought that has been residing in your head and breathe life into it with action. Because the universe doesn't react to thoughts. The universe reacts to action. It's time to stop waiting for the right moment. There is no right moment. The right moment is the one you create. You've had enough thinking, enough planning, enough preparing. Now is the time to take what you've learned, what you've endured, what you've survived, and turn it into fuel, because every pound of struggle you've had has been building you up to this moment. Question is, are you ready to use it? When you choose to act, actual, committed, no, backing down action, something inside you changes. You quit being a spectator and begin to live like a creator. You quit responding to life and begin to drive it. That's the point you move beyond the tale of someday and into the present reality. That's the force of fate taking action. It turns potential into progress, progress into power. The reality is most aren't lacking ability, they are lacking activation. They're existing in a state of almost. I almost went for that opportunity. I almost switched, but almost doesn't change anything. The only thing that's important is what you do. And here's the glorious part. Once you begin, once you make that first awkward, imperfect, uncertain move, momentum ignites, motion creates emotion. You start feeling alive again because progress is the pulse of fulfillment. Action is the antidote for fear. It's the cure for doubt. It's the destroyer of limitations. You can't think your way out of a rut. You need to move your way out. Each time you take action in spite of fear, you dilute its hold. Each time you take a risk, you stretch what's possible. And each time you drive past resistance, you tell yourself, I'm stronger than I thought. That's how confidence is created. Not by affirmations, but by evidence. Doing something doesn't mean you won't fail. It means you'll fail forward. Every error becomes feedback. Every failure becomes a stepping stone. Because the real truth is, you win or you learn, and either of them gets you going. You can't make something better that you haven't begun. You can't polish a dream that never got off the ground. You need to move to make progress, and you need courage to move. And yes, it will hurt. You'll question yourself. You'll ask if you're ready. You'll experience resistance. That's natural. That's the universe testing your commitment. But behind that resistance is all that you have ever wanted. The breakthrough you're waiting for isn't coming to you. It's coming from you. The second that you stop questioning and begin. Tech action isn't a slogan, it's a creed. It's a lifestyle in which what you say, what you do, and what you decide all line up, in which your choices anticipate your purpose. It's getting up each morning and asking yourself, what can I do today to make a difference? Not tomorrow, not someday soon, today. Because greatness isn't created in one bound, it's created by deliberate, persistent action day by day. And here's what you get when you live like this: you begin to trust yourself. You no longer wait for people to tell you you're good enough because your work is louder than anyone's praise ever could be. You no longer say, I wish, and begin to say, you no longer hope the world changes and become the change instead. That's when you become unstoppable. So now, not later, not once things quiet down now, make the choice. Take the risk, the message, pick up the phone, initiate the project, quit the habit, start the journey, do something that your future self will appreciate. Because the truth you've been keeping inside, the power you've been withholding, it's time to release it. Life's not waiting, neither is yours. Now's your time to be real, to get up, to shut up and get moving. The world doesn't need another dreamer. It needs a door, someone who'll get things done, someone who's ready to live with purpose, with power, and with passion. So stand up, deep breath, taste that fire within you, then go out there and make it real. This is your moment, your life, your truth, pen, tacky action, and never look back.